One of the great things about Total War Warhammer 2 is the pretty in-depth kind of RPG system that is running behind the scenes of any one of our legendary lords. Now, in addition to that, there is, of course, a very vast and not even complex, but a very in-depth item system. And with that item system, there are legendary items. Each one of our legendary lords has certain named items that correspond to their lore in Warhammer Fantasy. If we take a look at stuff like the Heart of Avelorn for Tyrion, or the Sword of Teclis for, well, Teclis, we see these items that are in the game that represent some of the fantastical abilities of these characters and how they're so important to their grander lore. For a long time, or Total War Warhammer 1 for that example, we see a lot of items that are just pretty cut and dry in the game. Now, with the inception of certain DLCs and with Total War Warhammer 2, we have what are I guess now called hidden legendary items. So in this video today, I want to talk about some of those hidden legendary items. Now, I asked personally Creative Assembly, hey, what are the hidden items? What are their triggers? And I got word back. I now know what those hidden items are. Now, a lot of people have been asking, why are they like this? Why are the items hidden? Well, in talking to Creative Assembly, I was told that those items that are hidden, they wanted to add to the game, but they didn't have the development cost, or it was too pricey from a development standpoint to add an extra quest battle into the game. So they created a set of triggers or hidden magic items, quote unquote, that you could stumble across by just simply playing through the campaign. And that's always been the intention of finding these hidden magic items by just simply playing through. And for the Total War Warhammer 2 base races of the High Elves and the Dark Elves, because that's where those are the ones with hidden magic items, that is true. You find their triggers by simply playing through the game. Now, when Queen of the Chrome came out, that is when the true hidden magic items, as far as CA is concerned, entered the game with very set triggers, as according to very specific, basically objectives you've got to do. And they're all pretty transparent too. For the exception of Alith and Anar, the ones that we're going to go through are going to be pretty obvious for you. So here's what we're going to do today. The first four we're going to talk about are, in this order, Hellebron, Lokhir, Fellheart, Alarielle, and then Alith and Anar. After that, we're going to talk about Tyrion, Teclis, and Malekith, which have very convoluted triggers and it's taken quite a bit of digging, research, testing on my end to kind of find out if those triggers are even real. So join me now. We're going to go into our very first Milady as we talk about Hellebron and her mystical, magical, hidden legendary item. And our first item is going to be, of course, the Amulet of Dark Fire. Now, this one's pretty sick here. Gives a nice 5% ward save, gives you enemy action success chance minus 10%, and the passive ability Amulet of Dark Fire. A nice 22% magic resist. Great for our masked queen, Crone Hellebron. As you can see, it's right here in her talisman section. It isn't a weapon, armor, enchanted item, or mount. Now, the real question is, how do you get this? Again, each one of these has got some sort of trigger, either based off of their rank, their location, a certain mission, something of the sort. And you will get a mission that corresponds to each and every one of these. For instance, here you got the mission Amulet of Darkfire for Crown Hellebron, and then you simply get the Amulet of Darkfire. So how do you get this? So it's pretty simple here. All you need to do is reach rank 15. And once you've acquired rank 15, you'll get that mission, that one we just take a look at, Amulet of Darkfire. It'll tell you then to capture the Shrine of Cain. So basically, you just then have to capture the Sword of Cain for your own. Once you've done that, you then have the Amulet of Darkfire. Now, I'd say that Queen Hellebron has probably one of the most upfront ones next to, well, I'm sorry. Hellebron, Lokhir, and Alarielle all are pretty upfront. Alarielle being easily the easiest. But you can clearly see here that once you get this, you have access to it. It's pretty quick. It's pretty easy. Again, this is going to be very in line with what you're going to be just doing naturally as part of the campaign. You as Crone Hellebron should naturally want to go capture the Shrine of Cain. You're the greatest bride of Cain, after all. This should be like your penultimate goal here outside of outright destroying Ulthuan. So when you do this, you really get a nice chance to get access to the Amulet of Darkfire and thus her hidden magic item. So without further ado, though, let's move on over to, I think, really the one that all of you are joining us here for today, Lokhir, Fellheart, and the Red Blades of Ind. Now, for a long time, people were asking, are the Red Blades of Ind in the game? How do we get the Red Blades of Ind? We can see the Helm of the Kraken, we see that as a legendary item, but how do we get the Red Blades of Ind? Well, if you reach rank 15, which actually I don't think a lot of people did for Lokhir Fellheart, because I think that most people are playing the Vampire Coast, you immediately know that the Red Blades of Ind are in the game. And I really appreciate how they added these Red Blades into the game. So let's take a look here. They give a melee attack of plus 10, weapon strength plus 15%, and enables sundering attacks. I mean, that's pretty brutal. In addition, he also gets income from sacking settlements of 20%. Of course, he also has his Helm of the Kraken, which is different from the Helm of the Kraken that you can get as a Dark Elf. So if you're playing Naggarond, you get a different Helm of the Kraken, because they originally had one in the game as a nice nod to this helm. So kind of an interesting little aside there for you guys. But how do you get the Red Blades of Ind? Well, you have to have another mission. You have to get the Red Blades quest. And it's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. All you simply have to do is reach rank 15 again, just like you did for Hellebron. And then you'll get a mission, that mission therein, the quest, the Red Blades, and you simply have to take or capture Karen Carr. That's it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Again, very devised around simply playing the campaign. I think this one might be a little bit more of a stretch, because if you didn't get that quest, considering where Lokhir Fellheart starts, you might not have kind of thought to yourself, well, you know what, I'll go take Karen Carr. So I could see if you miss this one, but thank God you just simply get a mission at rank 15. It's hard to miss at that point. Now, here's why I like this. They didn't just just kind of slap this in the game in the sense that, like, oh, okay, well, here's his Red Blades, as if he didn't have them to start with. He clearly has them on his person. They're clearly a part of his character. So they show it, obviously, because he's using them when he fights in combat. So the way that the lore for this works in the game is pretty cool, right? So Lokhir's famed dual swords, the Red Blades, have slain many foes for the Corsair King. However, the power imbued within them, drawn from the Indian god Gilgadresh, the statue, is failing. The only way to restore the blades to their former state is to regularly gorge them with blood. Not just any blood, but only the blood of the most anguished victims will sate them. So it's a really cool kind of storyline here where it's saying, yeah, you've already got the Red Blades, but this is what's going to empower them to become the true Red Blades by going to Karen Carr, the Slaver's Gate. And, you know, nothing's more in anguish than a whole entire city filled to the brim with slaves, where this is the Slaver's Gate is the hub of slave trade throughout the rest of Naggaroth. So it's kind of a really cool way to thematically tie that in. And I'm very pleased with this kind of result of having the Red Blades in the game without a really kind of conclusive or crazy quest behind them. Just kind of a nice little one that pulls you up and away. Now, if you take a look over here, we're on turn 82. The Amulet of Darkfire, way easier to get. It's like turn 46 we were able to get it, and huge hats off here to Weaponmaster 470 for helping me. He was able to help me out by doing the Hellebron one for me after I gave him what the trigger was, and while I was doing this one, because this was taking me 82 turns. I put them both on easy just to make it a lot faster for myself, and you can still see that this one, you do have to go a bit out of your way to get to it, because it is so far north from your starting location. Like if you take a look here, I mean, you start all the way down here. I think I timed it. It actually took me 13 turns to get all the way up here. So be mindful of this if you are ready if you do want to get those Red Blades. I had to create a second Lord to take Karen Carr, so you might have a little bit more of a pitch battle in your way. But there is how you get the Red Blades of Ind. But let's move on over to Alarielle, easily the easiest Lord or hidden magic item to get in Total War Warhammer 2. The Shieldstone of Isha is something that you can get almost, you could start an Alarielle campaign at the beginning of this video and get it done before even touching into the Red Blade of Ind. That's how fast you can get it. So the Shieldstone of Isha here, we see melee defense of 5, or just 5, a ward save of 5%, and then here's the best part about this thing, the Shieldstone of Isha passive ability, which gives you a whopping 12% physical resistance. So it's very nice, very great to have, especially in the early game, because we all know how much healing and how much utility Alarielle the Radiant can really kind of dish out. So couldn't be happier about getting this in the early game. But that goes without saying, how do you get this? So This is actually a much later save, but it's pretty simple. All you simply have to do is reach rank 2. Once you've gotten rank 2, you just need to take the Phoenix Gate. So let's go through a little tutorial of how to do that. So you're going to start right here, right? As Alarielle, you actually start directly right here. You move Alarielle right here because this is within her actual territory. You're going to summon up 2-3 units of spearmen or I'm sorry, take 2 or 3 turns to summon up spearmen and archers, and then you're going to take Evershale. When you take Evershale, that should put you at rank 2. You'll get a quest that says take the Phoenix Gate, and you'll see the reward is the Shieldstone of Isha. If you don't get rank 2 right away, you can move over here to take Tor Serior, but honestly, at that point, finish off building your stack all the way to 20 and take the Phoenix Gate, and boom, you have yourself the Shieldstone of Isha. Now let's move to the last person on this small list of 4 before we get into Tyrion, Teclis, and Malekith, and that is Alith Anar. Now, Alith Anar's hidden legendary item is the Shadow Crown, and you'll see that I don't have it. It has probably the most frustrating trigger of all of them. So what I'm going to talk about real quick is the Stone of Midnight. The Stone of Midnight gives you 4% ward save and a very nice 22% increase to your missile resistance. So, you know, a really nice little buff to things around Alith Anar. Now, the Stone, according to some of the research I've been able to dig up, is that the Stone of Midnight has a chance of generating for you if you're playing Alith Anar randomly. There's no actual set situation that creates it for you, but it can happen nonetheless. Now, the Shadow Crown itself has got a very set trigger, but the trigger is in such a small niche portion of the Alith Anar campaign that I think the majority of people have completely been unable to get it. Now, probably asking yourself, what is that trigger? And I wish I had the mission to show you. I'm not lying when I say I did a combined 20 playthroughs on easy to try and get this mission to trigger. Now, the mission in itself, or let me just go over the triggers themselves. So the trigger for the Shadow Crown is, first, you simply have to get to turn 10. Once you reach turn 10, you will get a mission that says to capture Nagaraith. That's it. That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's actually the easiest of the missions if you really think about it outside of Alarielle's, which is just kind of in her path. So you don't even need to reach a rank. You just have to make it past turn 10. Pretty easy. Now, here's the problem. I think the trigger is barred by the fact that if Toranlek, Tordranil, or maybe even the Shrine, I can clearly see in this playthrough, I've taken the Shrine of Cain in spite. I think if Nagaraith is not owned by a Dark Elf, then you might not get the trigger. And that's why I think the problem is. I think that the trigger exists, to their knowledge, the Creative Assembly's knowledge. They've told me outright this is the trigger. But I think that the niche, it's such a small, like 5 to 6 turn gap in which the Scourge of Cain actually owns this portion of the map, and before Eataine or Avelorn or Trace come and start taking it over. So if that happens, you, I think, lose access to this mission as a possible mission for Alith Anar. Because unless you're at war with them, and I don't think that's going to trigger it, or if the Norskins capture it, I still think that's not going to trigger it, then you will not get the mission to capture Nagaraith. Now, if you have been so lucky as to have gotten that mission, please let me know. If you've gotten even more lucky to get the mission completed and get the Shadow Crown, let me know. But from what I understand, yes, the Shadow Crown is in the game, and yes, that's the trigger for it. The Stone of Midnight, you still can get just by simply playing through as Alith Anar. It should just be a random reward for a mission. It just has a chance of appearing. Now, when I asked about all of these the triggers for the Lords to come, I wasn't given any kind of concrete answer. So what I've actually extrapolated is across a lot of research and my own testing. If you have anything contrary to what I'm about to tell you, please, by all means, comment below and let me know. But let's leave Alith Anar here. If you have any information on him, feel free to let me know. Let's dive into our first of the original Lords with Malekith. And we know the Armour of Midnight is in the game. A lot of us have captured it for ourselves and been able to bring this worthy prize home for Malekith. And he gets a specific mission to do this. He gets Hotek's Levy. So the real question, though, is how do we trigger the Armor of Midnight quest? Well, that's the point of this video. So what you have to do is reach the first stage of the campaign. There's 5 stages in total. You have to reach the first one and have completed it, but not complete the 4th one. So you have to be in between 1 to 4, so on 2 to 3. Now, I don't know if you can be in the middle of the 4th one and still get this. A lot of people have said, hey, you just need to simply have 6,000 slaves and capture Val's Anvil. That won't work. I've done it. Trust me. You actually have to be beyond a certain point of the campaign. Now, all of these items we're about to talk about are supposed to be kind of led into, like breadcrumbs across the rest of the campaign that kind of pop up naturally as you progress through the campaign. But again, you'll see that you'll just encounter certain situations where maybe the trigger isn't going to appear because you're so far beyond the point. It used to be when the game first came out, everyone said don't bother with the rituals until you have a huge power curve. I'm telling you right now, ignore that advice. If that's the way you're still playing, just simply play through the game. As soon as the rituals are ready for you, batten down the hatches and do the ritual. You get a huge bonus for doing it anyway. So let's move on now to Tyrion and the Heart of Avelorn. Now, this one it has a pretty cut and dry trigger as well, and it's a pretty great item. You see the Heart of Avelorn, leadership aura size plus 25%, or leadership effect plus 5, melee defense plus 5, magic resist plus 18%. Also, you get the great passive ability of Heart of Avelorn, which gives you a nice burst of health after a certain health threshold. Now, this one is got, again, a pretty cut and dry trigger. So how do you get the Heart of Avelorn? You have to reach the 2nd stage of the ritual, and you have to own a settlement that is within 2 settlements, provinces, from the Phoenix Gate, and you'll get a quest called the Phoenix Gate, in which case you go simply take the Phoenix Gate, just like Alarielle, and you get the Heart of Avelorn. There's apparently another trigger that someone said from the actual database, meaning you have to do something with Eatane. I haven't experienced that. If you have, please let me know. But this is how you get the Heart of Avelorn and the hidden item for Tyrion. Now, our last guy has got a little bit of is pretty convoluted actually. So we'll talk next about Teclis. And honestly, Teclis is just like Alith and Anar, super annoying. There's not a lot of conclusive evidence on how to get the Scroll of Hoeth or the Moonstaff of Lileath. In fact, the trigger I'm about to tell you about, I don't really know which one it's going to trigger for you. In fact, I'm near 100% sure that's the Moonstaff. The Scroll of Hoeth, from what I understand, is like the Stone of Midnight, which is a pretty random drop for you as you're playing through Teclis. A lot of people have seen these kind of drop throughout random shipwrecks at sea and such. They fixed that, and that is no longer the case. You actually have to hit the triggers for these things. So the Scroll of Hoeth gives you a nice 12% magic resistance and gives you a nice little debuff here, right? So it greatly reduces your power recharge rate, but also, the enemy's recharge rate, and also gives them a nice 30-second recharge on their abilities. So it helps kind of lock things out and caps them for a bit. Now, what is the trigger for the Scroll of Hoeth? I'm so glad you asked. So you have to have completed the 4th ritual, not the 5th. In fact, I've heard you can actually be in the middle of the 4th. And you must be at war with a Skaven faction. You can be at war coming into the 4th. You don't have to start it after the fact. So if you're already at war with Clan Scryer, which starts just north of the Order of Loremasters, then you're just fine. But you have to make sure you're at war with the Skaven faction. That will get you the Moonstaff of Lileath. But there you have it. That is all of them. That is all the hidden magic items in Total War Warhammer 2. There is also the one for Morathi, but from what I understand, that is actually not in the game through set circumstances. It's a random situation in which you just happen to come across it. A lot of these are kind of annoying, I'm not going to lie. I would not blame you if you wanted to use that really awesome mod on the Steam community where you just simply install it, and as soon as you get one of the set magic items from the quests, you get those magic items that are hidden. I'll put a link in the comment section below so that you can actually get a crack at that there modification to help you out. But I swear, man, like, I had started this video back in November when I got the actual word from Creative Assembly on what the set triggers were for the 4 lords. Remember, they consider those The true hidden magic items with set triggers. These other ones just kind of progress through the game and you should get them naturally, as long as the situations that present themselves have not been deteriorated. So for instance, if all the Skaven factions are gone by the time you hit the fourth ritual, then you cannot get the Moonstaff of Lileath. If you already own the Phoenix Gate before hitting the second ritual, or after the second ritual of Tyrion, then you cannot get the Heart of Avelorn. And same thing for, the Armor of Midnight, I think, is like the first one everyone found because it's pretty cut and dry and just kind of comes to you naturally. I've also heard that you need Fall's Anvil to have it happen, but I don't think Fall's Anvil is really connected to it at all. So some of these are extremely annoying, and some of them are very cut and dry. I'm glad that the Red Blades of Ind are very cut and dry for you guys, and I know that a lot of you have really wanted that one, so boom, have at it. Go get those glorious red blades. But if you have any questions or you're having problems triggering these, please let me know in the comment section below. If you have a set of triggers that have worked for you and you can show me a step-by-step way in which you did it and you can duplicate that, please let me know. I am very skeptical of people's approaches to getting these things because I have looked through so much stuff on how to do them. I've been testing so much stuff for the entire month on this. So I'm pretty well versed in it at this point. So please let me know if you've gotten these through any other means. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching here today. Hopefully this gives you, again, a little bit closer look into the hidden magic items of Total War Warhammer 2. Don't forget to check out my Patreon, my Twitter, all that kind of action. In fact, go to follow me on Twitch. It's the same exact name, Italian Spartacus. I will be streaming my campaign playthroughs on Twitch because I actually see more money from that. If you do any donations, 30% of it immediately gets lost to YouTube, and I know a lot of you guys are getting frustrated by that. So I will be streaming more on Twitch just so that if any of you guys do any donations, you don't have to see any of that money go right to YouTube. So again, follow me on Twitch. You'll find that Italian Spartacus right there and there. But as always, guys, have a good one and take care.